Hello everyone. In my recent videos about fixing my Subaru brakes, I said I'd make a separate video about how I jack and support a Subaru to work under it. So here it is. So while I'm at it, I might as well show you how I jack up a Subaru Outback. It starts with this length of 4x4 across the shoe of my floor jack. And I slide it in under the subframe on this side of the car. First thing I've got to do is get this is centered on the jack, this 4x4. So right now you can tell that since the 4x4 isn't under the very beginning of the frame here, that the jack is in the wrong position. So I'm just going to move that forward a bit. Right there. It's lined up under that subframe. And you can see now, before I start jacking, with that 4x4, it's lined up under the frame, pretty much front to back, under that subframe. So you can see now I get a really good clearance. The wheels are lifted up off the ground, both front and back. So that front wheel, 12 inches off the ground. Back wheel's about 11 inches off the ground. So I set up a couple of really stout jack stands. I think those are actually rated for 6,000 pounds. So they could hold the whole car up, but it's only holding up half. Let it down nice and easy on those stands. And that gives me a nice solid setup to work on the car totally safely. That's not going anywhere. Okay, so now I've got the car back down on the ground on all four wheels. And the last time I wanted to lift just this side, so I jacked up just this side. Now I need to go work on the other side. And just for demonstration purposes, and because I really should have done this the first time, I'm going to jack up the front end. So both back wheels will be on the floor and the front wheels will be in the air. So I'll show you how I do that using the same 4x4 and floor jack. So the first thing is, this 4x4 is going to cross underneath the frame. And I'll move the camera down now so you can see how I set it up. Center the jack under the car, And then, since the exhaust system hangs down a bit low, I'm going to add a 3/4 inch spacer here on both sides between the 4x4 and the subframe. I have to swing the jack out as far as I can so the jack handle sticks out from under the car as straight as possible. Gives me as much space I have to swing this jack handle up and down without hitting the bottom of the car. The maximum travel I can get out of it. It looks like the jack isn't quite centered, but I think that's close enough, so I'm going to continue jacking. At this point, both front wheels are up off the ground by 4 inches. I think the car is leaning to this side. There, I got it under there. That should be good. So now you can see how high the front end is and how both front wheels are lifted at the same time. It would have been smarter for me to do this in the first place when I was working on my front brakes. Just lift both front wheels at the same time. By the way, the capacity on those jack stands, the label on them says 6 tons. I would never use those jack stands for 6 tons. They just don't look like they're up to it. And I don't need to. This car isn't even 2 tons. I'm aiming to get that block underneath this round bar here, which is a very substantial and solid place to jack from. I want to have that bar going across the grain of the wooden block, not with the grain. The jacking shoe is centered on the bar with that block of wood between them. Oh, I think my jack has lost some oil. It's that seems to be as high as it goes. So I just want to point out, if you get the car raised to this level, and that's only, the wheels are actually less than 8 inches off the floor, that the car actually lifts up on both sides a bit. Because the car is starting to lift on both sides, if I push down on the bumper, I can actually tip the front left wheel off the floor until the right rear wheel hits the floor. So I'm at just about the balancing point here where that jack is located. So I would suggest not raising the car any higher than that, because you don't know what's going to happen after this point. I'll show you what happens on this side. I'm going to go to the right rear bumper and push down. So you can see that this is really not a stable situation. Even if I put a jack stand under it to support it, this isn't as stable as I want it to be to work on it or to work under it, and I certainly don't want anyone else to do this. This is really the best method I know to jack these cars up to work on. It raises the wheels up higher than any other method, and I think it's safe and stable. And this is really the only way you can work on the back end of the car. There's not a good, safe way that I've found to jack up both back wheels at the same time. I can do it, and I've done it, but this is really the best way to go. And that will get under that 4x4 on the front and the back. And now I should correct myself a bit. I think using ramps is another safe way to raise the back end of a Subaru. You want to be careful to line the ramps up accurately. And it takes a little practice to drive onto the ramps. Be very careful not to drive over the back end of your ramps. If you're using stamped steel ramps like these, be sure they have the proper cross bracing like this pair has. Press-formed ramps that lack this crucial bracing have been known to collapse under the weight of the vehicle and people have died that way. Always make sure your car is solidly supported to be safe. Firmly set your parking brakes and use wheel chocks to prevent the car from moving. And never support it by resting steel on top of concrete blocks. Blocks break too easily under uneven point pressure. Thank you for watching and work safely out there.